I walk up to you and I'm like, you know, we could possibly send letters through the Atlantic Ocean, you know, Bermuda Triangle, and the letters can go through a black hole and go into the past. You want to do it? Let's just process that for a second. Like, what? What? Yeah, what I just said was the explanation for why the letters were sent to the past. I'm not even shitting you. So, apparently, all of the time travel mechanics of this series is where a bunch of people came together, a group of friends, 5 people, they came together, they're like, you know what? We feel bad, we're depressed, we want to save our friend, we want to change things, let's all write these highly detailed letters and send them through the Atlantic Ocean, through a black hole that potentially is not even there at all. Just like, what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but that's brain dead. That is straight up brain dead. I literally had to pause. Okay, I had to pause the episode of Orange and just do this. I was like, did they just do that? Did they just do that? Like, did the writer of this series just explain the reason why time travel is in this series? Because a bunch of people came together like, hey, let's send letters for a black hole that is apparently in the Atlantic Ocean. Just like, did that really just happen? Like, okay, let's just, you know, let's throw this aside and let's just think about this. What does this mean, okay? I kind of understand the meaning or the message behind it, but when it came to the sci-fi mechanics of it, it's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. It literally just makes me want to vomit from just disgust. But I understand the message, I think. If I understand it, I'm going to kind of bring up my thoughts on what it might mean. So, all the characters, they wrote highly detailed letters, okay? They wrote highly detailed letters, they put all their thoughts on the table, what they could change, all the regrets that they wish they could change, and they sent it through the black hole that's in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, on the off chance that apparently they knew it was, you know, correct that there was a black hole or not, most likely the reason why they wrote such a detailed letters, or each individual one, is probably because they wanted to get all the weight off their chest. It was kind of like their final farewell to Kakeru and everyone else about, you know, what they wish they could have changed. It's like, you know, coming at peace. Just being at peace and just moving on past the darkness of your past. And I feel like that's kind of why they did it. Regardless if it would have worked or not, they probably did that just because they wanted to feel at peace and just lay out their emotions on the table that they probably never talked to anyone about. Like Suwa, for instance, talking about his emotions from the past. So I think that's kind of what the message was meant for. For instance, just them sending letters out into the Atlantic Ocean is just their way to kind of just say, hey, there's not much more we can do. I mean, let's just go on false hope or whatever. Just, you know, let's do this and let's just see if it works. They didn't think it would work, probably, but they did it anyways just to kind of be at peace. Just try anything they possibly can. So, I mean, overall, I think I understand the message of the episode. But still, at the end of the day, when it came to the writing of it, it was so cringy. It was so fucking cringy. I was just like, yo, this is so bad. Like, I'm legit serious right now. If this would have been episode 3, episode 2, 1, or even episode 6, okay? I would drop the series right fucking now. I would drop the series right fucking now if I heard that explanation. If I heard that explanation in the earlier stages of this series, I would fucking drop it instantly. I wouldn't even be making a video on this episode. That is how much I disliked that information we got. Who the hell knows? I might not even discuss the final episode of Orange because how much disgust I have for the reason why the letters were sent to the past to begin with. Now, if I can look past all of that, the main core themes and story here is pretty damn good. I like Kakeru's character. I like the emotions and the drama that's, you know, completely surrounding him. Getting to see his characterization in this episode. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. And when it comes to Orange, trying to deal with the stuff when it comes to Kakeru, it does a very good job. It does a very good job. But when it tries to throw into these, like, sci-fi elements with time travel and shit, it doesn't mesh well with this series. I mean, it's just a mechanic to kind of kickstart the story. It should never focus too much on that mechanic. And that's kind kind of what it did in this episode. To be honest, I would have been a little bit happier if we would have never have gotten the explanation to the time travel, but also, I'd probably be pretty pissed off because we didn't get to find out the explanation, so I guess you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, when it comes to my personal opinion on the time travel aspect. But still, I mean, if I would have known both, like, somehow if I would have known, if I would have found out it would have been even worse, I personally would have rather have not even known about how they sent the letters into the past, because finding out honestly degraded this series as writing for me personally, just for this episode alone. So let's get off of that. Let's just talk about the drama and all the other stuff going on this episode. So Kakeru, we get to see his perspective in the original timeline. We get to see what life he lived before he decided to take his life. We get to see all the things he feels, he thinks, up to his very final moments. And it's a very depressing episode. Regardless of the other stuff like I just disliked, when it came to Kakeru's inner psyche, just getting to see what type of person he was and what he had to do and deal with from his perspective, it made me sad. It was a very depressing episode. It was like a man that really did try to reach out for help once, and he got slapped aside. And let me explain that scene. So Kakeru, we know he's a suicidal character, and as I've said already, you have to reach out and grab the help that's been given to you to be able to overcome your problems. Someone can't, be forced to grab a hand. They have to grab it themselves. And in this scene when Kakeru, he goes to talk to his original friends from his previous school, when he reveals his information about, like, hey, my mother committed suicide, I blame myself, I want to die, that was Kakeru trying to ask for help. That was him literally at this point in his life to where he's like, I need help, please, someone help me, someone extend a hand to me, let me grab your hand and pull me out of this nightmare. That's kind of what Kakeru wanted at that time. He wanted to be pulled out of that darkness, and nobody ever extended him a hand at all, which we now see our characters doing, and that was his desperate cry for help. But his old friends, they just straight up laughed at him. They laughed in his face, made fun of him, and in the way it went about, I don't think they necessarily were making fun of him, but they just didn't know how to react to the situation. Like, let me explain the scene. So, let's just say you have a big friendly gathering, okay? You have friends from middle school or whatever, and then they call you up and say, like, hey, let's meet up, let's have something to eat, let's catch up and all that, let's have some fun. Obviously, they're unaware of your situation. They don't know what you've been doing, they don't know that you have suicidal thoughts, they don't know your mother committed suicide. They're unaware of this. So they think everything is pretty much normal. They're just reminiscing, thinking about the past, all the other things, and they're well aware that Kakeru got bullied, which I'll get into that in a moment, but they didn't, even know about Kakeru's life, what he was currently doing right now, for instance, being suicidal. And when he finally mentions it, since they're kind of immature kids, they probably don't really know how to grasp the situation and know what to do, and which might explain some of the character interactions we see with some of our main characters of the series, but that's another, discussion for another video. But the big thing is that Kakeru, he tried to say everything, and then they reacted like, just trying to brush it off, because they didn't know what to say. I mean, how would you react, honestly, if you didn't have any information at all, and one of your friends from middle school just walked up to you and says, my mother committed suicide, I have suicidal thoughts and want to die. I mean, like, this is a person you spent the time with a lot, and when he just straight up says this to you, and you had no idea, you'd be like, you wouldn't know what to say. You don't know if you should say, I'm sorry for your loss. You don't know if you say, I need to help you. Like, you don't know what to say to a person like that. Normally, you wouldn't know what to say. You don't know how to react to that if someone just straight up told you something like that. And so, the way they reacted was kind of natural as a human being, especially for their age, since they were kind of immature children. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense the way they acted. But when it came to the bullying stuff, when they, Kakeru was being bullied in the past, and when they were trying to laugh it off and saying it wasn't their fault, fuck them. Fuck them right now. Fuck those old friends. Those are not friends. I'm sorry. Anyone that does that to a friend is not a true friend. Regardless, even though what they, as I said, I was defending them about them being immature, I still don't defend them for not trying to reach out and offer an extended hand, extend a hand to Kakeru and bring him out of the darkness. They didn't even try to do that. They literally left him high and dry and threw him under the bus. Literally. They didn't even give a shit about him. They could have easily have said something to someone, but they didn't. They just brushed it off and just like, he doesn't want to do that. That's how they felt, and they just went on with their lives. So, overall, I mean, the interaction with Kakeru's, supposed friends, not real friends, they're assholes. I would never hang out with someone like that. And Kakeru, hearing something like that from people he used to hang out with, most likely was one of the big driving points that pushed him over the edge. Not the main reason, but that was one of the things that drove him even closer to that edge. Now, getting off of that part of the flashback, or, the original timeline, Kakeru, he looks at his mother's phone, and he gets to see the message he sent to his mother. And apparently his mother did get to read the message that he sent, and she never replied back. He goes into the draft section, and he sees that she was writing a very long message, but she never sent it because she didn't want to. And, I mean, in a way, the message was kind of like a suicide note. That's exactly what it was. It was a suicide note for Kakeru. From when he finally reads this, he can see why she did what she did. And from what we gather from it, we come to find out why she took her life. And in the way she reacted to the situation, she realized she was being very selfish. She was someone that was caring about Kakeru. She really cared about her son, really loved him, wanted to help him out. But in the way she cared for him, it was very silent. She didn't really let on what she was trying to do. When, she took him out of the previous school, brought him to a new school, or to when she divorced, her husband, it was all to help out her son. But he didn't know that because he was unaware. She never talked to him. And eventually all these things built up over the years, and then, he just, snapped at her, and it pushed her over the edge because she realizes what she's been doing. She's been making him miserable. And because of this, it eventually she was like, I'm better out of the picture. I mean, I ruined your happiness all of your life. I know you cared about, your father. I know you wanted to be in the other school and you didn't really want to move and lose your friends, but I did anyways, and I didn't really listen or ask you, so I feel like I shouldn't be in the picture. That's kind of how she, reacted. And I know many are going to bring up the argument and say that, honestly, if she didn't want to make Kakeru unhappy, she shouldn't have killed herself. That's what many were probably going to say. But that you need to throw that entire discussion off the table. That doesn't work with people with suicidal tendencies. It doesn't. With people that think of suicide and they want to kill themselves and they feel like, that it'd be better off for their loved ones if they weren't there, they don't think like what we do is right. Like, for instance, they believe that if they weren't there, everything will be fine. But us, the others that are not suicidal, we think that if they were to kill themselves, the people they leave behind will be sad. And so it's just a different mentality, and it's a different mindset when it comes to different people. So just saying that, it's just something that doesn't work necessarily. I mean, even if it might be true, it's not true to the extent that it extends to everyone, because some people truly believe if they end their life, that it'll be better for everyone else. And you just can't change that. You can't change people's mindsets if that's what they think. You can't. And so that's what really drives a lot of people, honestly, to suicide. They think that, it'd be better off if they weren't living. And that's kind of what happened to, Kakeru. Kakeru thought that he just needed to stay away from people, not hurt anyone, and he needed to just make sure he broke off all connections, and it'd be better off for everyone, even Naho, if he wasn't alive. And so that's what drove him to suicide. So he's pretty much following the exact same path as his mother. That's what's going on here. So, I mean, I understand the mother's perspective of why she did it, because, I mean, she honestly believed that she, shouldn't have been there. She shouldn't be alive anymore because she was hurting her son too bad. And then Kakeru, after finding this out, it finally pushed him over that edge, and he went off the rails. So yeah, I mean, episode overall of Orange, it was a good episode. Besides the time travel shit, it was disgusting. It was so disgusting. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or nights wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.